Starting off with Career junior year, I had a lot of memories and it's taught me a lot about what I know today and helped me prepare a lot for my future. One of the first things is the business project, and I remember I had Mandy, Erica in our group, and it was pretty stressful coming together with everything and finding out the prices of utilities. And we did a video game truck, so we had to have an office, we had to have a truck, we had to have water and different things like that, like electricity and PG&E. I remember we went to Starbucks and it was hard to focus, especially because we were all friends. And in the end, it came down to a lot of stress and we got in little tiny arguments, but it was only because we all cared. And we ended up getting a 93 on the project, and then because we presented early, we got that bumped up to 97. So I think that was one of the highest grades that he had that year. For Career Ed, another project we had was a college board, and I remember over Thanksgiving break, we had to fill out a lot of information for it and get the endowment and notable alumni and different things like that, just to research colleges and get prepared for what we're going to face in our future. For my project and my board, I had USC, and when I turned it in, I got a high B, but it was probably because Mr. Woods had high expectations because USC is his favorite school, even though UCLA is better. But I got an 87, and it was really stressful doing it because I had to print out all the stuff and make sure it was all cut perfectly. And it wasn't too hard, but it was really time consuming overall. And I know a lot of people got to be on that project, and I think it's mostly because of neatness, but it helped me learn a lot about where things should go and how to make a poster look really unique. Some of the most memorable speakers in Career Ed was a lady from Humphreys and Tanika, the crime analyst. So from Humphreys, I remember Mr. Wood saying that tomorrow we'll have a speaker from Humphreys. And then I remember the next day I planned to miss because I was going to take a day off from school. And just because he said that, I decided to go to Humphreys just to watch the Humphreys presenter. And I remember being disappointed because it wasn't the type of school I wanted to go to, even though I thought it was. So that was an example of not a bad memory, but something that I realized that I didn't want to do. And the second one was Tanika, the crime analyst. I remember having Career Ed in 6th period and coming to the class, and everyone was talking about her and saying how she was really funny and that she was a good presenter. So I was excited for that one. And she talked about drugs and she showed pictures of people who were on drugs for a while. And yeah, and then I ended up interning for her, and it's been a great experience. In Career Ed, etiquette was also really memorable for me because of Miss Tina. And something I remember the most is when she used to say Etiquette Wednesdays with Miss Tina. And I think one of the most memorable days from Etiquette Wednesday was probably when we learned how to hold the fork and the spoon and the plate and the drink when networking. And I think something that made it really memorable was she told us to put it how we thought it was, and we all learned that we were really wrong, and no one in the class got it right. So we practiced holding the plate with the cups, and we practiced what to hold in what hand, so that way when you shake people's hand, it's not wet. And the banquet at the end, or the networking session, was pretty exciting to talk to a lot of people, and I also got to know people from Pump It Up and people from foster homes and different things like that, so that was really cool. Some of the mock interview do's and don'ts were really exciting to learn because I never even thought of them, and I never really paid attention to them until I actually had to go on my mock interview. Some of the do's I remember are make sure you ask questions at the end, which confused me a little in the beginning because I didn't understand why you would ask a question on something you didn't understand. But that's just because I didn't understand it, and knowing why we do it now helps me a lot, and it makes a lot more sense to me. Another do is to make sure that you research the company, which is something that I probably wouldn't have done before. And one of the most surprising don'ts were do not sit down unless they offer you to, or you ask them if you can sit down. And I thought this was really interesting because you're in an interview and there's a chair obviously there for you, so you'd think that they would just let you sit down. So that was really interesting. NCRA time management was really important because we had a lot of projects and we had to manage time a certain way or else you wouldn't get all your stuff done. So NCRA, the time management I had was try not to procrastinate and work on it whenever you have an open window. So if I came home and if I had 20 minutes to eat a snack or something, I tried to spend around 7 minutes eating a snack and watching a video or something, and then the other few minutes working on my career ed project. And that just taught me to work on something whenever you have an open window, because those little minutes that you think don't matter really add up in the end. And overall it's pretty hard because I was used to procrastinating, and so getting out of that habit was something that helped me, but it was actually really hard for me. Taking college classes throughout high school was a lot different than I assumed it would be after high school. You're surrounded with a lot of people that are just coming out of high school and trying to go into a university. You're surrounded with people that have been out of college for a while, and some people that are older but just want to learn more. And so it's a really unique experience, and being a 15-year-old, you had to learn how to mature a lot. And I think the hardest part about college classes were when I would overload myself and take 3 college classes in one semester. And I think the most memorable college class is probably philosophy, where I got a B in that class, but I've never been that happy to get a B because it was something that was really stressful and a lot of people didn't pass. And it taught me a whole new way of thinking, and it's something that I probably want to major in after going out of high school. For fast track, freshman year I took world history, and sophomore year I took US history, and both of these were really hard because I didn't like history, so I wanted to hurry up and get it over with. And taking notes all day and having to study for tests wasn't easy for me, especially over summer when a lot of my friends from West High and Tracy High got out early, so I could never really hang out with them because I was still stuck in school.